Yellow, and welcome into See You Next Tuesday. I have the wonderful, the fabulous, from the Unwatchable podcast, Miss Chloe Rodriguez. Welcome.
Hello.
I was just telling her, and I usually tell all my guests this, the second I start my podcast, I forget my name and everybody else's name, so I always get really nervous, like, I'm going to call the wrong name, So, and it happened last week, and I was really embarrassed, and I was like, oh my God, I call myself a professional, as I sit on my couch. Welcome to See You Next Tuesday.
Hello. Dude, I totally relate to you on that name thing, because I've had people on my podcast who I've known for like 8 years. And then I realized like I've never said their full name out loud. And like before the podcast starts, I'll be like, this is so embarrassing. What is your last name? Like, how do you say this?
And I was like asking her questions like, is this on, like, looking at her Instagram page? Like, is this what you go by? Is this it? Is this your full real name? But I was on your podcast this week and it was really fun. And we talked all about Sex in the City, which is one of my favorite shows. So You should definitely go listen. Where can everybody find that?
So you can find Unwatchable on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, trying to get into Amazon as well.
I wonder if I'm on Amazon. I have no idea.
I think they just, at least on my like service where I upload things, they just made it available to do Amazon. And you can follow the Instagram at Unwatchable with Chloe Rodriguez, and there's links there as well. So
see, you're ahead of me in that department. I have not made a separate Instagram for it. I can hardly edit the video and put it up there too. I don't know how I'm gonna then. I get very like overwhelmed. Do you ever feel like that? Like if like you start a project, and it's like I already have a hard time with Instagram anyway, because like I don't know like what I should post or what I shouldn't. So then it's like adding another one on top of that, but I need to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like the number one thing, if I was making money from this podcast, the first thing I would do is hire someone to do the social media. Like I can do the editing. I'll do like whatever the fuck. The social media of it is so annoying. And that's probably why my Instagram probably sucks, but you should still check it out.
No, it doesn't suck at all. No.
But it's so, like, you feel like you have to come up with, you're like, how many times can I say to, like, listen, but in a different way that's non-self-promotional?
Yes. And see, the thing on my personal Instagram is I feel like when I post podcast stuff, people are like, this again. We don't follow you for your podcast. Yes. We follow to see your titties. So, and that's a thing that they want too. They just, they want, I'm sure if I took my clothes off, I'd get a ton of followers. Not sure I'm ready to go down that route, but also love my body. Why not show it off, So stay tuned. Who knows? But right now I'm just at the point where I see these like girls who are like 19 and they have like thousands and thousands of followers. And I'm just like, and all they're doing is they're on TikTok and they're like,
yes.
Or they're like, and I'm like, I think I'm too old for this.
Okay, tell me if you feel this way too. I think that were you also born in 1995 or are you a little
I was 3.
younger than me?
I was
1993. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, you're a little older than me.
Yeah.
So I feel like you and I just barely missed like the social media boat, whereas I know people who were born in like 1997 and they have like tons of followers. They like automatically know how to like make their feed look good. Like it's ingrained in them because by the time like they were in high school, it was already such a big deal. And it wasn't that big of a deal until like right when I was coming out of high school. Yeah. So I completely missed the boat of like being born with that instinct. And I think kids like 2 years younger than me, they just like have it. And I totally missed that boat.
I remember being so excited that my phone in high school could access MySpace. Like I was like, y'all, have you heard that you can get on MySpace on your phone? So it wasn't really like a big, like, I feel like if in high school it was big, I would be better at it. But also like, I don't even want to know the type of bullying issues people have with like cell phone stuff or like cameras and stuff. Cause I can't even imagine like with, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie 8th Grade?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because that's I love how even though we're not on my podcast, I'm still bringing it to movies and TV.
Fuck yeah. I mean, we know what we know. Mine, sex, and weed. Yours can be shows. We will have a very good balance.
The movie 8th Grade, it was written and directed by Bo Burnham,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about like this girl just like growing up in the 8th grade, and they have so many scenes of her like on her Instagram, on her like social media, like how much she checks it before she goes to bed, and like she's like making YouTube videos and stuff, and it's just so interesting to like see it from that perspective. Like I did not grow up with social media being like that. Like for us it was like Facebook and MySpace.
Right, AOL.
Yeah,
Messenger.
and when I talk to my cousin who's like in high school right now, I'm like, dude, I don't envy you. Like I did not have that pressure growing up. Like I was awkward as hell, and there's like minimal documentation of it, you know?
I just like imagine like there were like these stairs that were grass at my school, like these massive grass like steps that like went down to like a stage, and everybody would kind of just like hurdle together in their like little groups, and that would be it. But now in my head, they're like all on their phones. But then there's also like the girls who are like posing and like taking pictures at high school, or like they're like, you know, like twirling their hair while it's like, I was like running to the bathroom to like check my braces and whatever. So I don't know, like it's.
Oh,
I feel like it's a different world.
It is. I spent every lunch and recess in the library. Like I was that kid.
I was hiding from my bullies, and I was usually in the theater or in the photography room, but I was never outside.
Yep.
Something about being outside in high school was always the scariest, and being in class was probably the safest bet.
And even now, being outside is scary.
Yes, that is true. Everybody please stay inside so that we can go outside eventually, because this shit is insane. Because I haven't really talked about it on my podcast, because I'm like, we all are living with it in like real life. Like we don't really need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But like, I thought this shit was gonna last like a month, and it's almost fall.
Oh, how young and naive we were.
I was like, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 4, and then we're gonna 5, and like it's insane how we have just been inside.
But it's so funny because I was thinking about it, and I was like, this is probably like my kids are gonna ask me about this, and what am I gonna tell them? I stayed inside all day and smoked weed and played like the Nintendo DS. Like
literally same. So I mean, you know, they don't need to know. I just say, yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I went on Zoom dates with a bunch of different guys.
I can tell them about my sham of a relationship that started at the beginning of this this quarantine. But you know, but then hopefully if I have children, it'll be because somebody ended up liking me enough to commit.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But enough about the pandemic. However, the pandemic was getting to me so much, and I feel like I've said this a million times, but on Hulu, because the commercials would be like, wear a mask, stay inside. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know, please, I'm trying to watch Desperate Housewives. Why are you reminding me of this bullshit? So I paid to not have commercials. Best money I ever spent. Hulu should be paying me, because I am telling every single person that they need to do this. Best $13.99 I've ever spent. I am.
Oh, hell yeah.
Chef's kiss. Because when it was always so sad when like the show would end, like the commercial break's coming, and and you're like, I'm gonna have to pause soon. But now it goes dark, and then it comes back, and I'm just like,
hell yeah.
Absolutely. But let's go to dating. Let's start zesting it up with a little bit of dating, because I have been having a rough time. But we were talking on your podcast, and you were telling me that you have a boyfriend, correct?
Yeah.
And how did you guys meet? Tell me the whole story. What's the situation?
Okay, I think this will be a very interesting story, and I want to preface this by saying that this story is like different than any other relationship that I've been in.
Okay.
so I broke a lot of my own personal rules throughout this experience.
All right.
But essentially, so he and I met 5 years ago at a party that one of our mutual friends was having. It was her 21st birthday. And he started talking to me at the party. We were like kind of vibing. I was like, this guy's into me. And at the time, my method for dealing with guys who like I knew were into me was just to like be a fucking bitch. And so like if I could tell like someone wanted like if I could tell someone kind of like was into me and like wanted to sleep with me, I'm like, I'm gonna make this dude's night. Like, I'm just gonna roast him the whole fucking time, right? And I guess it worked because he liked me. So, but what I didn't know at the time was that he was roommates with the guy who I was like in the process of like starting to date.
Got it.
So I never pursued anything with him. Like I saw him at the party, that was it. And then 2 weeks later, I have like a boyfriend who I like had just officially started dating, and I go to his apartment. And that dude that I met at the party was there. I had no idea they were roommates, no idea that they like knew each other.
Yeah.
And it was really, really
random.
funny. Yeah. So then like we would, obviously, because like I was dating his roommate, I would come over there all the time. And I always enjoyed talking to him than I did talking to my actual boyfriend. Like we just became really good friends.
But then it's like you can't like stop dating that guy and then date that guy, because then you're known as a home hopper. But it's like we're talking to that guy on a separate occasion, so it's like, oh, but continue.
Yeah. So it was very funny, and it was just always like, then like that guy and I broke up. I didn't see him as often, but we would run into each other on campus, and it always felt like one of those situations like, do you just know like certain people in your life where you just have like sexual chemistry with them, like off the charts? Like you're like nothing remotely physical has happened with us, but I like know like this is gonna happen one day. Like I bet my life on it. I just knew something was gonna happen. So then cut to like around last year, he and I like hadn't talked in a while. We just kept up on social media, and he messaged me. He has like a pretty big following. He's a YouTuber, and he was like, "Oh, I heard that you started a podcast. I want to be a guest on it. I feel like we would have so much fun because we always like had great conversations."
Yeah.
I was like, dope. And he came over, we like kind of rekindled our friendship, and we were both dating other people at the time. But I still was getting those like chemistry vibes from
You're
him.
like, oh, still want to fuck him.
Yeah, and I was like, nope, like we can't be that good of friends because I have a boyfriend and like I have chemistry with this guy. So I was like, let's keep this at an arm's length, right?
Yeah, you're like, can't be dangerous.
Yep. And then it turned out in February that we both broke up with our respective partners, like in the same exact week. And
wow.
Yeah. So I found out he was single. He found out I was single. Valentine's Day night, he slides into my DMs.
I love it.
And I was at a party at the time, and he replied back to a post that I had made on my story. And he was just, it was like something benign. And then we just like started having a conversation, and like it was getting like progressively flirtier like throughout the night. And I was like, oh, this is gonna happen. We're gonna make this happen. It's finally gonna happen. And then boom, he asked me out. We made plans for a date. So
and you both knew that you were single.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was the night, it was like the day that I had posted about being single. And I knew that, I just knew for some reason, I was like, because it had been like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And for some reason in the back of my mind, I was like, if I post something about being single, this dude's going to slide into my DMs.
Yeah.
I
universe, do your work.
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna happen for sure. I posted something about being single, and then that night he like slid in.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
amazing. I love
I know.
the story.
And then, well, here's where I fucked things up a little bit.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So we go on our first date, and I'm like, I've never. I think I touched on this a little bit on the podcast we were on. Or the podcast that you were on, but I forget if I edited it out.
Yeah.
But I told you like then, I always wait a really long time to sleep with someone. Like I was raised as like, you wait until marriage. And at that point, like I had already lost my virginity, so I clearly wasn't waiting till marriage, but I would still wait until like it was an official like boyfriend girlfriend thing, and then even then like months later.
Yeah.
So
how like so give me a time span, like 6 months you'd make these guys wait?
So my first boyfriend I didn't even have sex with. My second boyfriend I waited like a year.
Oh my god. Okay, now I'm not judging. I'm just like, I would be like, enter me. Like, what does that involve? Like, do you guys make out? Do you still like?
I was a we can do everything but girl. Like I was like.
But at a certain point, like after so many like pussy eating sessions, don't you just really want to get railed? But I guess if you've never done it, you're not like, oh my god, get in me.
Well, let me tell you something. I waited until I was like a few months shy of my 22nd birthday before I lost my virginity.
I respect it.
So I waited, pretty much my rule, because I knew that I reached the point where I had to evaluate, like, do I believe this because I actually believe it, or do I believe this because I was told my whole life, you have to wait until marriage or you're bad? And I kind of reached the point one day where I was just like, I don't know if I really believe this personally for me, and I'm just kind of doing it for other people. And if I'm doing it for other people, that it doesn't mean as much. And so I literally kind of just like woke up one day and I realized that, and I was like, I'm fucking ready. And I basically just waited until I like felt like I was ready.
That's awesome though.
I really don't regret that. I think I kind of regret. I regret who it was with a little bit, but
don't we all?
Yeah, but I don't look back on that, even though it wasn't like my person. I don't look back on it with regret. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel bad. Like, I don't feel like I made a mistake at all. I'm totally cool with it. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think like you having that realization, like I think because I have a lot of friends who were also told that their entire lives, and like still some friends who have not had sex. And it's always very interesting for me to hear that like they have to make that decision of like, is this what I want, or is this just like what my parents have told me and like what they want? Yeah. It's always, that's always like interesting to me. But anyway, continue with the story. We got sidetracked from the original boyfriend story.
Yeah, and then like one of my other boyfriends, I also still waited a while. So like in my head, like that's how I've always played it. I've always played it like slow. And
doesn't that drive you crazy though?
It does, but like it does, but like I was just like, this is how you get a guy to commit. Like that was just like my testing ground, basically. I don't know if that's the right way to go about it or not.
I mean, you have a boyfriend, so.
Well, the thing is, so with this guy, is it easier if I'll use a fake name?
Or just say like my boyfriend. You don't have to use a name.
Yeah, okay, so my boyfriend. But with this guy, I was like, we've had 5 years of buildup at this point.
Right.
And I'm texting my friends before the date. I'm like, I want to fuck him. Like, I got to get this out of my head. Like, and I was debating, I'm like, do I fuck him or do I not? Like, do I want to wait? And I'm thinking like, oh, I just got out of a relationship. He just got out of a relationship.
We're just going to have fun.
Yeah, I'm like, we're not looking for anything serious. Let's just.
That's always when it happens.
Yeah. So we go out to dinner. He was like, oh, why don't we like go to a bar now? And I was like, or, you know, we can go to my place and drink. And the game was on. So
was it like a movie? Like the second you walk in and turn on the lights, he like pushes you up against a wall and kisses you? I always want one of those nights, but I never have one.
No, he's he takes things like just as slow as I do. So this was something new for both of us. So we're sitting on my couch, we're watching Chopped. We're getting like a little wine tipsy. Oh yeah.
Ooh, what are they gonna do with that basket, huh?
Ooh, he's really gripping those melons.
Look at the way that she's chopping them.
She really, she peeled that potato at an expert level.
I've got a basket you can enter. Oh, these were good.
So like, the episode ends, and I look at him, and I'm like, so, do you want to watch another episode? And then it's just game on, and we start like making out. And he's like, oh, like your couch is pretty comfortable, but maybe your room would be more comfortable.
I'm dying.
I'm
Let's
like,
take it to the bed.
Shit. I'm like texting. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'm like texting my friends. I'm about to
like
be
grabbing
entered.
the phone.
Like,
he's going to have sex with me.
It's gonna happen. I'm like yes.
Throw it while you take your clothes off.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't even know. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm trying to convince myself that I'm still gonna wait. Like, I'm still, we're going into the room. We're like stripping down. I'm still like, you know what? This might not happen. Like, who knows?
Right. We're gonna make out.
Yeah. So we're both naked. We're like making out in my room. And I was just like, hell yeah. Like, this is gonna happen. So it happens, right? And then I've never had sex with someone on the first day. I've never had like a one night stand. I've never had like a friends with benefits where you have sex or anything.
Got
like
it.
That. So I'm like, it's that like moment after like you finish where you're just like laying on the bed like, oh shit, what is the next step? I'm like, I literally thought about it only until that part and then never thought about what it meant past that. I was like, oh shit.
Now I have to think about what this is.
Yes. And so he puts the ball in my court and he's like, so we should probably talk about like what this means. Like what are you looking for? And I'm an idiot and I'm like, we'll just keep things casual. Like,
yeah.
Without knowing what casual means, because I've never been in a casual thing.
Yeah. And like,
so I'm like,
what did he seem saddened by this? Did he seem okay with this?
He was just like, oh, okay. Like I couldn't really tell like how he was feeling, right?
Yeah.
But like, he's still like, we're still texting all the time. And like,
did you want it to be casual or did that just come out of your mouth and then you were like, fuck, that's not what I want?
I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of wanted to be with him, but I was also like, no, like we both just got out of a relationship. Like we should not do this.
Right.
So for a little while, we're like just friends with benefits. And then the quarantine hits. And so like, and we were both taking it very seriously. So we're like, we probably shouldn't like meet up until like after all of this is over.
Right. And then like, it never ended.
Yeah. So we don't know, like we had no idea like what that meant. Like he texted me basically and was just like, for the record, like I still want to see you after like this is over. And so I'm like, okay. But then like I start thinking about it and I'm like, because I'm like, okay, we're like fuck buddies, but we're like on reserve now for like when the quarantine is over, but like we still like we're still talking. So basically one day I was just getting in my own head and I was like, you know what? He's boyfriend material. I like him.
Yeah.
He clearly likes me because he's still talking to me like during the quarantine. And I FaceTimed him and I was like, this was probably like a month or like a month and a half after we started like hooking up. And I basically FaceTimed him and I was like, hey, I've thought about it and I'm looking for a relationship and like this is what I want. If you don't want it, let me know right now and like we can just like go our separate ways, like no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Like this is what I want for myself. Just thought I'd be like upfront with you. And he was basically just like, and I thought I'm about to get ghosted by this dude right now. Like, I'm like, I put
my feelings out there. Yeah. This is over.
I'm like, we're breaking the contract. Like we had a contract to just fuck and I'm breaking this contract.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, he was like, oh, great. He was like, I've been thinking about that too. Like, I kind of want that too. So we started like quarantine dating where we would just do Zoom calls with each other for like fucking 2 months or something. We had like scheduled like dates, like date nights on FaceTime. And then one day I was just like, dude, I can't fucking take it anymore. And he was like, neither can I. And I drove to his house and like saw him and and then over time we just like started making things official, and
Oh, I love
like an
it.
actual thing.
It's so
But
sweet.
I broke my rules. I broke the no sleeping on the first date thing, and I broke the sex without commitment thing. And you know what?
It worked out. See,
So,
and I keep expecting that to happen to me. But I think because I don't do the thing where you're like, let's keep it casual, because I'm so sick of like the casual thing that then it just like, because I go into it saying like I'm looking for a relationship. I don't know, but I feel like the pattern that I get is they act like they want to be in a relationship for a while, and then all of a sudden they're like, ooh, you know what? I'm all set. And then they just like disappear. So I don't know. And
well,
then
I wasn't trying to like, when I said casual, like I wasn't like, and I'll trick him and then like it'll be too late. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like a ploy or anything. And then as soon as I realized what I actually wanted, I told him. And I think that's the number one thing that I learned is just like, you have to be okay with them not wanting the same thing as you. And instead of like trying to work it out with them still, just be like, all right, bye. Like, you're not going to give me what I wanted. So.
Which is something that I did, because with this guy that I was seeing during quarantine that dumped me, I didn't see him for a month. And then I went back this week to get my printer because I needed my printer and he was borrowing it. And I went back to get it and he came down and he gave it to me. And then I was going to leave and he was like, you know, if you ever want to like hang out and like play Xbox, like I still have your thing set up and like I care about you and I miss you and like I want to see you. And I was like, but you dumped me. Like, why would I come back and hang out? And he's like, I just want to like be friends first and maybe like start over. And then like once quarantine gets out, like maybe we can really give this a shot. Bro, for like 3.5 months, we were like together. Why on earth would why would I start over when I already had it and you told me that like we weren't compatible? Like what?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was like, no, like, why would I do that? I've already spent a month getting over you. Why would I then like risk it just to like maybe in 4 months you do the exact same thing again? Like, why would I do that to myself? And then he got kind of mad and then like broke up with me again. And I was like, but I don't want to be with you. So why are you...
Yeah, he's like, you don't reject me, I reject you.
Yeah, he started like telling me a bunch of stuff that he didn't like in the relationship that he never said before. He was like, when I was sad, you never helped me. And I was like, when you were sad, you would tell me not to come over. And he goes, yeah, you should come over anyway with like a bottle of Jack and like want to party. And I'm like, sir, the last thing that I think when someone tells me they're sad and tells me not to come over because they need space is to then come over with alcohol? Sir, no. He said so many things. And I was like, all right, well, now that you've, beaten the dead horse enough, I'm going to head out. You have a good one. And we haven't talked since. So I don't understand the whole like, see where it goes and be friends again when you've already told me you don't like a bunch of shit and we're not compatible. Why the hell would I put myself back into that? Like, what?
Yeah, no, you got that exactly right. Because like, if he really wanted the same thing that you do now, he wouldn't be like, let's start over and let's backtrack. He would be like, let's pick up where we left off. And no, the backtracking thing, like that's only if he's trying, like, I don't know, like things got too far from his comfort zone and now he's trying to take them back into his comfort zone, and like no,
and that's not what I wanted.
Deal with that
like
shit.
I kept telling him like, I want a relationship, like these are the things that I want, and he was just like, like with quarantine, like it's just like it's too much, and like and I'm like, this is the perfect time to like hang out with somebody and like get to know them. Like if you don't like me, it's fine, just like don't be with me. But then you don't get to just like have me around. Like, and this guy also like only had friends that were girls, So I have a theory that all of these friends that he has are girls that he slept with and was then like, let's just be friends. And then like keeps a gaggle of girls around who are like somewhat obsessed with him and would love for them to maybe have sex. Like, no, fuck off, bro. Do your fucking thing. I'm all set. I'll find somebody who actually wants to be with me. Like,
have you found that guys are using the quarantine thing as like an excuse?
An excuse in what way?
Of like, well, I know for me, like, I yada-yada'd like to the point where my boyfriend and I were like official, but at the beginning of that, there was a little bit of push and pull of me being like, so like, are we labeling this or are we not? And I know for him, like, there was a lot of back and forth of him being like, I'm so, like, it's really hard for me to like make this official because of the quarantine thing. Like, I'm so stressed out, everything's so up in the air, I don't know what everything is happening. And like,
but it's like I'm the same.
In
quarantine or not, like, I may be a little more anxious because I have more time to think about all my thoughts, but like, I'm the same person. So like, if you want to date me now, then you're gonna want to date me out of quarantine as well.
So I was getting suspicious a little bit where I was like, oh, okay, like, so, and luckily, like it's all turned out fine, and like we're on the same level now. But for a while I was like, is this a bullshit excuse, or is this like a genuine thing that people are like going through? It's hard to tell.
With this guy, I mean, here's the thing. If you like somebody enough, nothing is going to stop you from being with them. Like, I liked him. So I wanted to like lay with him all the time, like be with him all the time. So it's like, for him to not feel that way about me, like I don't want that. I lost my train of thought in the middle of talking. I have no idea what I'm saying. Somebody texted me, it came up on my laptop, I read it, and then I was like, I have no recollection of what I'm even speaking of, but I kept going. It's like, I think Michael Scott at one point says, like, I had no idea where I was going with that conversation. I just hope I found it along the way. That's me about 95% of the time. I just want to let
Absolutely.
Okay, wait. I need to go back. What are we talking about? Because I want to talk about it.
We were talking about people... We were talking about people who use quarantine as an excuse.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
And whether or not that's valid.
Wow, I was not going in that direction. Here we go. Everybody forgive me. Okay. So, with this guy, he kept saying to me, like, I don't know if we're going to get along outside of quarantine. And I kept being like, I don't understand what that means. I don't understand. Because he kept being like, I don't know if you're going to like me in bars. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you doing?
You're like, let's get drunk right here then. Like, what are you trying to...
And like, we would, and like, everything was fine and dandy. So he just, I personally felt like he had decided in the beginning that it just wasn't going to work out because of the quarantine situation. And he didn't give it a fair shot because he was so scared about the quarantine stuff, or like whatever he had like going on, like personally. But I mean, I just don't understand. Because I wanted to be with him. So like me being in quarantine and having all this time, great. Why would, like, this is, for the people who are saying like this is not a good time to date, but it is, because you have so much time to get to know somebody. But then now my problem is with him, it was like we went on a date right before quarantine started. So like I knew him, and like he lived alone, and like I knew that he was taking it as seriously. Now with dating, I'm terrified. I don't want to let anybody into my house. I don't want to have sex with anybody because I'm afraid I'm going to get COVID. I don't want to like get it, not know about it, continue going out, and then maybe give it to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I am terrified. And then there's these guys who like think it's stupid that I'm taking it so seriously. So then I'm like, well, you suck. And like, cause I'm like, let's FaceTime. Like, let's do like a smoking FaceTime date. Cause like, that's really all I'm comfortable with. And then they don't want to, or they FaceTime me at random times instead of scheduling it. A note to men.
You gotta...
This morning, just this, took like 45 minutes. I mean, I was watching Desperate Housewives, so was I fully doing my makeup? No. But if you FaceTime me, I usually look like a naked mole rat, no brows, no eyeliner, no zits galore, maybe some stickers on my zit. So I can't be answering any like phone. Like, and if I'm like, when I'm on my phone, this is the view. That's it. So no, I'm not going to answer. I'm absolutely not going to answer. Sorry about that.
Well, yeah, I think the interesting thing about having to date right now, at least like it kind of makes you decide how serious you are about somebody.
Yeah.
Because it like you said, like what I would do is just be like, I want to FaceTime date you. Like, I want to, why don't we have like a cute dinner FaceTime date?
Yeah.
Put it out there. If the guy's like, sweet, sounds great, then be like, okay, you find the time and the day, come back to me, make a plan, like put the ball in their court. And I, before my boyfriend and I, like at the beginning of quarantine, before we were like exclusive, I was doing FaceTime dates with like a few other people.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay, I'm putting that out there. This is what I'm looking for. You fucking figure it out.
Yeah. I like that. I do. And like there was this guy recently that I was talking to, and like I didn't respond. And then 2 days later, he responded and said, "Do you want cummies?"
What the fuck?
And at first I was like, is that a fun snack I haven't had? And I was like, is that like a gummy snack? Like, what is that?
Like,
and then I was like,
gummies, sir? You're like trying to help
oh my
out?
God, he means like cummies. Like, you want me to make you cum? And like, also, like, we had never even talked about anything sexual. So like, for him to just randomly at 12:49 a.m. one day be like, do you want cummies?
That is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Sir, no, I don't. I do not want them at all. So, no.
Well, you know what? This makes me think of a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you into like the dirty talk in bed, or like, are you you're not into baby talk though, it sounds like. That's like, I mean, if he said cummies to you in bed, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I want him to be like, I'm now going to eat your pussy, or like, I'm gonna make you cum. I don't want him to be like, do you want daddy to give you cummies?
Okay, wait, can I tell you something?
I want that.
Okay, so I like dirty talk, right? And I was with someone once, and I was like, oh, can you like dirty talk to me? Like, he was like fingering me. I was like, can you?
I'm so excited for whatever this is going to be.
I was like, can you dirty talk with me? He was like, oh, I've never really tried it. I was like, just like, try it. Yeah, just try it, babe. And he was like, ooh, you like that in your little pussy? And he kept saying little pussy. Like, he kept being like, yeah, you like my fingers in your little pussy. And I almost started laughing. And I'm like, okay, like, this guy's giving it a shot. Like, whatever, I'll let it slide,
The
right?
word he was looking for was tight. Tight, not little.
I'm like, what the fuck am I like?
You're like, is my vagina too small? Is it disproportionately small? Why is it so little?
Underage? I'm very confused. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. I text my friend the next day. I was like, he kept calling it my little pussy. What the fuck? So then the next time I see him, I'm like, okay, let's try this again. Like, let's try the dirty talk. And he still said it. He kept saying little pussy. And finally I had to stop him. I was like, I stopped him. I'm like giving constructive feedback. I was like, I love that you're trying right now. Let's think of a different word besides little. I was like, let's not. He was like, you like that? I was like, yeah, but don't call it little, okay? He's like, all right. Like, just don't call it little. He's like, gotcha.
There was one time this guy that I was like making out with and shit, and he said that I was talking in baby talk. And I was like, what? No, I wasn't. That's my voice. Like, what?
Oh my God.
And I still to this day can't figure out what I was saying that would have been like baby talk. But it's like maybe when I'm like, I want to cuddle. Like, I'll say weird shit, and I'll say it weird, but I'm never like, I never am trying to do a baby voice, so I don't like that. I hate when they're completely silent. when they like
Yes.
don't say anything, or the grunters, the ones that just grunt. And I'm like, is that a good grunt? Is that a bad grunt? What? Hello? What is it?
I have a friend who told me that she fucks in complete silence, and I have never heard of that in my life. Like,
I feel like if I were having sex with her, I'd be like, "You good? You having a good? Did you want feedback? All right."
She said she's never had a guy who like was talking during it. Like, no, everyone she's been with has been completely silent. She's completely silent.
I'm usually like the girl that they're like, "Hey, so my neighbors have a kid. If you could like tone it down," and I'm like, "Got you," and I'm just like screaming again while going. Like,
yeah, I like being loud.
So do I, and like I'll say shit, and like I'm just like loud, like, and I want them to be loud too. Like I don't want you to scream at me, but I like. What do you like for guys to say in bed? Or just like, okay. I feel like all of them kind of have their own thing that they usually say. Like they'll call me something, or like they'll do something. I'm like, all right, I'm into that because I haven't had it before.
I think like I think if you want to just go like standard, we're not doing anything like crazy, then it's just nice. It's nice to be checked in on. It's nice for them to be like, you look fucking sexy. You look hot. I love your tits.
A compliment.
Like, I'm like, yeah, ramp me up, baby. Like,
yes.
Yeah, compliment the shit out of me.
Yeah, the more you tell me how amazing I am, the longer this amazing blowjob is going to go on for.
Yeah, that shit I love. I can tell you, I will tell you, I have to tell you the story of how I lost my virginity, because that was some crazy ass dialogue. But before I get to that, like, I don't know. I don't have anything specific I'm looking for, as long as like you don't say anything weird. Like,
are you a daddy girl? Like, do you like to do that?
Not, okay. I'm not a daddy girl. Well, my dad is dead, so that would be extremely weird.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. Oh my god.
No, it's funny.
It's not funny he's dead. It's funny.
It's funny because if I was fucking someone, like if I was fucking my boyfriend who knows my dad is dead, and I was like, ooh, daddy, he would be like, I think you need to talk to your therapist about this. Like, he would be like, this is, I think it only works if your father is alive.
Even still, I don't get it. Like, the two things that I don't get that intrigue me so much is like the foot fetish thing and the daddy thing, because I don't get it. I don't get what's sexy about feet, and I don't get what's sexy about that. So I am confused by it. But
I asked my boyfriend yesterday, I was like, how would you feel if I started selling my feet pics? Like, I was just
That's
like,
different.
I wasn't going to, but I was just, we're making conversation.
Yeah,
this
bored.
is the conversation I like to make. I was like, how would you feel if I started selling my feet pics? And he was like, he was like, I don't know how to respond to that. He was like, because I don't find the feet sexual, so I would not be jealous if other people saw your feet. So, like, he was like, I guess it's kind of weird, like, like just in general, because like the idea of a foot fetish is not trying to shame, but it's not as common.
Yeah.
So he was like, I guess I wouldn't care, but also like, are you going to? I was like, not yet.
Like, but I need 10%.
See how the unemployment lasts.
Oh my god. But anyway, you were telling me the lost your virginity story.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yes. Dying to know. You said it was great. The dialogue.
Yes, because it was like the worst thing anyone's ever said to me, but also like kind of funny.
Oh no! I'm gonna need this guy's name and number.
Okay, well, so here's the story. So when I lost my virginity, it was with a guy who I had previously dated, but we had like just broken up.
Got it.
And we started hooking up, but we were virgin hooking up because we were both still virgins. So
so y'all both lost your virginity to each other?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
So I'm like, I had reached the point where I was ready, but then we like broke up. It never like ended up happening, whatever. And so we're hooking up, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm ready for this. I know this dude, like,
Yeah.
who knows when I'll get another opportunity? Might as well. So the first, I feel like I had 2 attempts because the first time he like could not make it in. Like I was sealed shut. Like I was just like
vagina was like,
we had the condom and everything, and it was just like, it was hitting a wall. Like it was just not gonna happen. We were like, we'll take 2. We'll come back to this later.
Spit on it.
So the next time, okay. So this guy, he was not the nicest to me when we were dating. Like he would always point out like other women to me. Like he would be like, you should dress like her. Like you should like, and I'd be like, what the fuck? And he'd be like, oh, well, I just like, I thought you would look really good in what she's wearing. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you comparing me to other women? He would do this all the time. He would like, he texted me to lift your jaw.
I was like, that's shocking.
He had a class with one of my best friends, and they were in their class together. He texted me from that class to tell me how hot my best friend looked that day. And I was like, why are you texting me this? Like, you're my boyfriend. Like, you should not. Why the fuck would you go out of your way to text me and be like, this girl's fucking hot? And he was like, I don't know. I was just thinking about it.
Maybe so, like he thought, like, if I tell her this, it's not bad that I'm thinking this?
I don't know. He was an idiot. So he was like, I feel like I had great confidence when I went into that relationship, and then he just like took my confidence to a 0.
Down, yeah.
And that was just how our relationship was. Like he wasn't like nice to me, and I don't know why I never like stood up for myself, but it was just one of those relationships,
Mm-hmm. It happens.
It was just, so anyway, so we're losing our virginities to each other, and this time it's working, and so
made it in.
Hallelujah. You know how it's like, how it's just like very awkward when it's your first time, and like especially because it was like both of us, and we were like, I don't know where to put things. I don't know, like I don't know where things are. Is this good
for you?
Yeah, we were like, is this how it's supposed to feel? I don't know. Is this good? Sure. I guess. Like we didn't know. So I, being like way like being a people pleaser, I guess, I kept apologizing, and I was just like, I'm sorry, like, and look, like hoping that you would be like, hey, it's fine. Yeah. Like, you know what? Like this is. Of course this is awkward. Like we've never done this before. I'm looking for some reassurance, right? And so I'm like, oh, sorry. Like I'm so awkward at this right now. And he goes, it's the weirdest thing anyone's ever said to me in bed. He goes, it's okay. It's good that I'm practicing this with you and not Miss October. Like implying that like, it's okay that things are weird because like, it's fine to get this out of the way with you, because low life fucking uggo, but you're not a supermodel, and I'm gonna date supermodels one day, and I need to be prepared for them. Like, what a fucking dick.
That's when I would have taken his penis out of my body.
And I don't know why I didn't. You know what? No, I do know why I didn't, because he had like, at that point, I was just so like emotionally, like, it was just so emotionally toxic where I felt I had to like constantly like get his approval, right? That like the thought did not occur to me to be like, maybe I should stop this right now. Like, yeah, I feel just like okay,
it's one of those times where like you look back on it and you're like, maybe I should have, but in the moment when someone says something like that to you, or when you're used to that type of behavior, it's very easy to just shut down and not say anything at all.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, this is what I don't know what else I was expecting. This is just him, like,
Right. Oh that's my insane. God, that's awful. I'm so sorry he said that to you. It's terrible. Don't ever talk to this man again. I hate him.
And you know what? I really haven't talked to him, so.
Good. Jesus. I wonder if he's with Miss October. I'm actually going to need his name after this so that I can look him up and see what's happening with his social media.
I don't think, and I'm not even trying to be a dick here, I genuinely don't think anyone's touched his dick since. And that was like years ago. So I, like, if I had to hedge a bet, I know he hasn't been with anyone else. I'm like positive.
So probably definitely not Miss October.
Definitely not.
What was it like growing up in a religious household? Did you like fear God? Or? Like were you afraid that if you didn't like finish your plate or like didn't do the dishes that God would like punish you?
Okay, well, I do have kind of an interesting story about that, but
Okay.
I'll save it a little more towards the end. But well, my parents were not like crazy strict, and I think that was helpful. Like
Mm-hmm.
my parents were both very Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't like crazy, like they weren't like, oh, you're a sinner if you like disobey us or anything like that. I think I generally grew up with pretty good parents, and while I don't agree with them on like 100% of everything, I do think like they were pretty lenient compared to like a lot of conservative families.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't necessarily say I was like in fear. I did go to church like twice a week, basically, for most of my life.
It's a
Like,
lot.
yeah, like every Sunday, every Wednesday. That was when youth group was.
Why was it always a Wednesday? Because even other kids that I knew that went to youth group, it was always on Wednesdays. I'm like, what is up with God and Wednesday and Sunday? Why is he like
I
those days?
I wonder if it's because it's hump day and they really want to make sure that like you're being kept accountable.
It's also probably like it's far enough away. Like there's
Yeah, it's
Sunday, Monday,
midweek.
Tuesday. So that's probably why is what I'm
Yeah.
realizing. No
but
secret rule.
but I think mainly the interesting thing is now, like as I've grown up, because I still believe in God. I don't think I'm like super religious. I don't go to church anymore. I don't believe everything that I was taught
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger. But I think the most interesting thing has been growing up now, not going to church and having to separate what I actually believe from what I was taught to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that makes sense.
Is that confusing for you to like figure out your own way of how to feel versus what you were like told is how you're supposed to feel about it?
I think it was for a while. I think now that I'm older, and I'm more independent, I think it's easier for me to be like, this is what I believe and I'm not ashamed of it. But when I
Yeah.
was younger, I think like even when I was in high school, the church that I grew up in, it wasn't very supportive of people asking questions. And I felt like in my high school group, at least, that it was very easy for people to kind of separate you into like the good Christians and the bad Christians. And
Interesting.
if you asked too many questions or you didn't fall in line exactly what they believed in, you were like one of the bad Christians. And that's not
Okay.
how my parents were, thank God,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how that church was. So I think for a while that was still kind of ingrained in me, where I was like in college and trying to separate things, and I was like, what, does this make me a bad person to think differently? Because
Right.
I can't change it. Like, this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm older, I think now that I've had A, more distance, and B, I'm more independent, so it's more appropriate, I guess,
Yeah.
for me to be like, this is where I stand and
Yeah.
whatever.
What is God to you? Is God a person? Is God everywhere? Does he have a plan? Is he like watching? What is he to you?
I really do think that like I think that God is watching over everybody and does have a plan, which I couldn't even begin to like. I mean, the theology behind like whether or not everything happens for a reason is very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a lot of arguments that I don't want to go into, but I do think that there is a semblance of like order to the way that things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that that's like the universe or fate, which is fine. And then some people believe that it's like God. And I think I lean more towards the God side. I don't know. I've just always believed in God, and I can't imagine my life not having a semblance of a relationship with him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's what my spirituality is. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm any specific denomination, but I would say that, like, to me, my religion is just like having a relationship of communication with him. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm very lax. I don't go to church and stuff.
God and I are cool.
Yeah, basically. And like, I think a big part of that being like a big test for that was probably obviously like when I did lose my dad, which is a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really like angry for a long time, but I've still maintained like my belief like
Yeah.
through all of that. And
Yeah. Do you believe in heaven and hell?
Oh my God, I'm choking.
And she's strike dead. And God stricken her.
She knew too much.
And
That's
not the way I want to make headlines. So please don't die on my podcast.
Could you imagine I die in the middle?
And it's on like recording. And like
you're like, I'm monetizing this shit for sure. Oh, my view count just went up. You're not gonna believe this. If that does happen, I do give you permission to publish this still. It won't be disrespectful to me.
I will literally be in so much therapy. Because I don't even know where you live. I don't know anything about, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Like, I could call 911 and they'd be like, where is she? I'm like,
I don't know.
She's in a white room. There's some perfumes behind her.
She probably smells great.
That's all I know. On. That's all I can give you.
Oh my God.
Lord.
I think, well, it's funny because I was raised Jewish as well. So like I have like my religion that I was raised in was Christianity, but then a whole other half of my family is Jewish. Mm-hmm. Jews don't believe in heaven or hell.
Right.
Like they don't believe in an afterlife. They believe like when you're dead, you're dead. Mm-hmm. And Christians believe in the afterlife. So I would say I definitely believe in heaven. But I don't know about like any other types of level, like people believe in purgatory and shit too. Right. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if heaven is like, you know, the castle in the sky paved with gold, or if it's like different to everyone. Mm-hmm. No idea.
Yeah. I should probably work on my relationship with God. Not gonna lie.
But you got time, girl. It's fine. We all have plenty of time to figure our shit out, you know?
How do you feel, and I think this is a Catholic thing, but so you know the candles mm-hmm. with like Jesus on them or like whomever, or is it like a Hail Mary? Who's on the candles?
Okay, that is a Catholic thing, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's like the saints.
As long as we're both unsure, it's fine.
I think it is like the saints or like the Mother Mary or something.
Got it. Do you think it's wrong when people, because like recently one of a girl that I follow on Instagram, she came out with candles and it was like her as like whomever that was on the candle, and it was like a whole big thing, and like so many people were mad at her because like it's religion and you're not allowed to do that. Is that something that would like not necessarily offend you because that's not like your religion, but like is that offensive? Or like do you see where it's like, I mean, she's just making a play on a candle. Where would you stand on that?
Well, first off, I know that a lot of people make candles like that. Like, yeah. So, I mean, she's not the only person. I'm trying to reframe this and think like, what would I think from the perspective of like a Jew if someone did this with like Jewish material? But then it's different because the Jews have been like persecuted for like a long time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say that if you are equating like a physical candle to like a holy object, I think you're putting too much stock in a material good, whereas like, at least in the Bible that like, at least in what I was taught, like, you shouldn't equate like any one object to having the same influence on your life that God would. So I think like while like sacred objects and stuff definitely exist, I don't think that like putting a parody or like a spin on it is necessarily taking anything away from the actual object itself.
I think a lot of it too right now is just like cancel culture is like it's hot, like you'll get canceled in like a second. So I feel like everyone is also looking for someone to like mess up. So like they'll take anything.
We're gonna get her.
Yeah, because like one of my friends who's Catholic was really offended. And I was like, really?
Mhm.
I don't understand. But then again, like, I'm not Catholic, so like I don't know what this candle means to her. So I don't know. That's why I wanted to get your take
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, to each their own. She's definitely like within her rights to be
Oh,
offended, and
no, yeah, of course.
I'm not saying anyone's stupid for like
Oh
not agreeing
no.
with me.
You know, like
Yeah,
I don't believe in God, but like I
yeah,
don't judge anybody for like having God in their life. Like that's cool. I wish
yeah.
that I fucking had God, but like I don't, you know? I'm just got these demons. No, I'm just kidding.
I should tell you about my God punishment story,
Yes.
because this is so, like maybe the most embarrassing thing. Here, I have to plug in this computer.
That's fine.
I'm bending down.
It's fine.
Okay, I need to tell you the story of the time that I gave my first blowjob and how that affected me and God. Okay, so I'm gonna set the scene for you.
God didn't like that I gave head.
Yeah, okay.
He likes when I get on my knees for him.
Okay, this story is so embarrassing, but then like my own interpretation of it at the time is even more embarrassing.
So excited.
Okay, so
By the way, we're officially best friends. There's no going back. It's a, like this is happening. Continue.
Yes. So I was a senior. Yes, I was a senior in high school when I had my first boyfriend. He was like the first person I did like anything like physical with. It was like my first sexual awakening kind of. And so I think I was 18 at the time. So basically like we were messing around, like I was at his house. I finally put it in my mouth. I gave him probably the worst blowjob I've ever given anyone.
I put it in my mouth.
It was probably not satisfying, whatever. But to completion. I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, fine.
So cut to so the next day I'm like sitting in church and I'm like, I just feel like the eyes of the Lord on me, and I'm like, sweat is like dripping down my forehead, and I'm like,
so you gave head on a Saturday.
Like, yeah, on the Sabbath. So I'm sitting in church, I'm like trying to listen to the sermon. I have like cold sweat dripping down my forehead. I'm like, I am the worst person in the world. Like, so that night, or maybe it was the weekend after, I forget what it was, but I was in a musical at the time. And so
what musical?
I was in a musical that no one's heard of called, so it was a musical adaptation of the show Great Expectations. And the reason no one knows that there's a musical about it is because it sucked, and my high school was like asked to workshop it. Basically, it wasn't like a professional musical that already existed, and it was awful, and I don't think anything ever came of it, and it sucked. But anyway, so I was in Great Expectations, the musical.
Okay.
And I have a part in that show where I'm not like the lead, but I'm one of the leads, and I had like my first big solo. Like, I had been working my way up in the musical theater department like all of high school. I went from like the ensemble to getting like bit roles, and then finally here I am. It's senior year. I get my own song. I stand on stage alone and the spotlight comes on me. So
oh God.
So it's opening night, like not long after the origin of, so
the fellatio
occurred and days later. So it's opening night. It's the part of the show where I get to sing, and my voice had been totally fine, right? Like I'm gabbing, I'm like singing in warm-ups, everything sounds fine. No indication that my voice is gonna go out, right?
Oh no.
And then right before I go on stage, I'm like, my throat's feeling kind of weird. Like I had a tickle in it. I'm like, whatever, it'll be fine. I get on stage, I'm saying my lines. I'm like, I think my voice is starting to go a little bit. Everyone leaves. I'm on stage alone. The spotlight comes on me. The song starts. I open my mouth. Nothing. No sound. I cannot sing. My voice just disappears, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like how the fuck am I gonna get out of this? So instead of singing, I start speaking all of my lines. I promise we'll get back to, I promise this is going somewhere. So I start speaking the entire song because my voice will not allow me to sing, right?
It's a poem.
By myself on stage in a spotlight on opening night, right?
Oh my God.
So then not only do I have that song, but my song leads into a whole other like part of the show that I never leave the stage for. So I still, like, after the song ends, I'm still on stage, I still have lines, and then immediately that scene transitions into a duet between me and some other dudes. So I've had no time to go off stage to figure out what's going on. Like, I'm stuck there, right?
Yeah.
So the song starts, and I'm supposed to sing with this guy, and I will know, he saved my ass. The guy who was on stage with me, who was supposed to sing the duet with me, his name is Zach. I've known him since I was 8 years old. Shout out to Zach still. Love you, homie. He starts speaking his lines so that I can start speaking my lines, so that way we're both talking in the duet instead of him like having to sing while I talk.
Yeah.
He saves my ass, right?
That's amazing. So everyone's like, this is just what they're doing.
Yeah, saves my ass, right? I get off stage. I don't have to sing again for the rest of the show. I'm like, oh my God, that was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me, right? And in my head, as 18-year-old, very Christian Chloe, everyone's like, what the fuck happened? Like, what happened? Like, you sounded fine like earlier. And I'm thinking, I know what happened.
It's God.
God is punishing me for my blowjob. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I am positive that the Lord on high has seen the sins that I've committed with thy tongue and lips, and has now he taketh away my ability to use them for singing.
Oh, you're gonna use this for something wrong?
Yeah.
No?
I was convinced.
Oh my God,
that
that's amazing.
Punished for
Did you
blowing
tell
my
your friend where you're like, it was God, he did it?
I never told anyone that that's what I thought, because I was like, that's so embarrassing. Like, I can't tell anyone. And I told this story to my boyfriend, like, when we first started dating, and he was like, that is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like,
it's so awful and so funny. I feel so bad.
For years I was like, holy shit, like, you got me. Good play, God.
I see you.
That one's on you. I was like,
we see each
fucking
other.
savage. Like, you, because of sweet burn.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So like when you have sex, like do you not say, oh my God, because you don't want to call to him? Like, is that, like, do you avoid it because you're like, I'm not saying it?
Oh no, I've never thought of that. I do say it now that
now you'll think of me.
I'm gonna be like, oh goodness gravy, like,
oh gosh,
oh jeepers, zoinks.
Crikey. Oh crikey, I'm gonna come. Do you say it before you come, or whoa, or do you just come? Like, or do you say like the lead up, or do you just let it happen?
Well, okay. Do you feel that, I've never asked another lady this, do you feel as a woman that you kind of have to like get yourself into it by making noise or like by being louder?
Yeah, sometimes I will literally, if it doesn't happen and I'm like, I want to come, I'm like, all right, we're counting down from 15 and you're coming at 1, and it works. Like, I will in my head be doing it. I'm like, 15, 14, 13. And I'm like, we're gonna come at 1, bitch.
Yeah, I find that like vocalizing, like, I need to hear things. That's why I like dirty talk. So like, to me, I kind of need to hype myself up by being like kind of loud. So I do kind of vocalize it.
Yep.
Because that's just what helps me.
Because like, I'll say it like up until it's going to happen. Like, I'll be like, I'm going to come. And I'll be like, I'm coming.
Touchdown.
We did it. But then like, it's like the guys when I don't come, and then after they're like, oh, did you come? And I'm like, well, I didn't say it, so no. But then I'm like, wait, maybe not everybody is screaming at the top of their lungs that they're about to come when they're going to come. So maybe guys don't always know if it but like, wouldn't you want to let them know?
The post-cum check-in is, like, to me, the most endearing thing that a guy can do is, like, even when it's like you could be like shaking them down, like, you are making me come right now.
Right.
And then to still have them be like, did you get there? I'm like, that is so cute.
Now,
so cute.
Something that I was thinking of that I personally have an issue with. Okay.
Okay.
So, in sex, there's the whole, like, they always come regardless, right? So, like, usually, unless there's, like, antidepressants involved. But, like, there's, like, if they always come. So, let's say they came and I didn't come. Why is it, like, now that you're not hard and I'm not doing something to make you come, that you don't now make me come regardless?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though you've already had an orgasm and your dick might be soft, there's nothing stopping your mouth from taking care of my business. So
True.
Why is it like a whole, like, oh, well, better luck next time for girls, when it's like, no, why don't we, like, make it to where we'll, like, if you come first, then, because, like, if I don't come first and you come, that's not fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about it. Because, like,
I
was thinking about the last guy that I was seeing, and, like, there was one time where we had sex, and I was like, I didn't come. And he's like, yeah, sorry, sometimes it doesn't happen.
He told you that?
I'm like, but you just came.
Yeah, you're like, bitch, I should be telling you that. Like,
so, like, and that's what started making me think about it. Like, I feel like it should be both of everybody.
Yeah, no, you need a guy. You need a guy who's like, okay, your turn. Like,
right.
And
yes.
I think that's just a thing. I think that's why, like, podcasts like this are good, and, like, shows like Sex and the City are good, where you see, like, women talking about being sexual.
Yeah.
Because there's, like, this narrative that's such bullshit, and I've definitely bought into it at many times in my life. Whereas a woman, it's like, oh, like, it's harder to make you come, and therefore, like, it's fine if it doesn't happen. Or, like, oh, like, a lot of women fake it. It's fine because, like, it takes a long time. Like, this whole narrative that, like, it's easy for guys to get off, so, like, they should be catered to. But, like, with women, it's, like, a hassle. Like, no, own your shit, man. Like, make them make you come.
Here's the thing. It isn't hard to make a girl come if you're not only using your penis. The issue is with penetration is that some girls can't come from penetration.
Yeah.
So, sir, if the only thing that you are using to try to get her to come is going in and out of her, it's never going to happen. So it's like, there's the mouth, there's the like, if you know where the clit is and you know not to hit it really hard and then just fucking do this bullshit to it. I don't know what the fuck they think that, like, this makeup brush, right? This is my clit, and they're just like, and I'm like, maybe we do, like, like, let's just test her out. We don't need to, try to get it off my body. This isn't, we're not trying to remove it.
There's much more of a learning curve, and I think that's why there's more, like, sex toys, like, more variety of sex toys that can cater to women, that, like, of more variety. Like, sex toys for guys are usually just like, you stick your dick in this, like, but for women, like, women have to discover what they like and what works best for them. And everyone kind of works differently, and, like, that's, like, for a dude, they kind of just learn, like, it's not hard to, no offense, it's not hard to learn how to, like, tug on a dick.
Right.
But, like,
it's just, like, this motion over and over again until they come.
But there's, like, much more of a learning curve with, like, the female body. It's just more complicated. And, like, there's, like, we need to stop acting like there's something wrong with having a little bit of a learning curve there.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, I know that, like, each girl is different, and, like, it's harder to make girls come and stuff like that. But it's like, if you just try.
Yeah.
Literally give, like, 50% more. Just, like, spend more time by her clit. And, like, one of the biggest things for me, I don't even know
Mhm.
how I'm going to demonstrate this without licking something. What do I have that I could lick? I don't even know. Okay, well, is my tongue even clean? I don't know. Like, I had coffee. It's probably coffee
Your
on it.
finger can represent your tongue, and
don't know if
this
it
is the most
can.
nasty gesture I've ever
So,
made.
there's like 2 ways that guys eat out. Well, 3. There's the ones that like stick their tongue in your hole like they're a snake, and you're like, what? Literally, what are you doing? Like, they're like,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, sir, you can do that with your penis later. That's not what this is for. And
We call that the Nagini.
Yeah. And then, I love that so much. And then there's slithering in. And then there's the like the flat lickers, which
Mhm.
I don't enjoy, right? So I'm just gonna lick my hand. So it's like, right? I can't believe I just licked my hand.
We call that the Siamese cat.
Yes. So what I want is like it's that. I don't need that doesn't do anything for me.
You want like designate like a pressure point.
Like, put the tip of your tongue like on her clit, and then like gently start like
Yes.
And like,
Don't
I can't even believe I'm doing this right now,
dude. I'm like,
yeah,
well,
but
here's
like,
what
do
I
a
wish.
mix of it. Like, do some flat tongue,
Yes,
and then do some floppy.
Yes. Well,
floppy
absolutely. What I was gonna say is the number one thing that I wish guys knew about eating out is that, like, make a meal of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like jam your tongue like against my clit aggressively.
Right.
Like
we don't need that at all.
Fuck won't this happen? Like,
right.
You know,
it's
like,
not a button.
Guide it around. Like, just like lick around everywhere.
Yes.
Like, be
however,
like gentle, and then like warm me up a little.
Yeah,
you know?
Love a thigh kiss. Maybe kiss around the thighs first, and then we do a lick all over town, right? We let the whole kitty know that we
bring
love
it
her.
around town,
just like SpongeBob taught us. Like,
exactly.
what were these lessons for? But then what you have to realize is, as guys, is that you have to do the same motion at some point over and over again in order to get it to happen. Because just going around town, it won't happen. So go around town, then go to the clit and do some flat licking and then some not flat licking. Do a combo of those. Let a bitch know how it goes.
We need some variety, or it's just gonna get numb down there. You don't want it to shrivel up. Like,
absolutely.
I'm so glad we've gone into such a detail.
There was also, and I know I've talked about this on the podcast, have you ever had a guy who like doesn't want to eat you out during sex because there is a condom?
Oh, because they're wearing a condom?
Like, he, in the middle of sex, I was like, you should eat me out. And he was like, no, we're having sex. I was like, but like, that is sex. The part of the package. I figured it was probably the condom and he didn't want to taste latex. That's the only thing I could think.
True.
But here's the thing. How many times have they pulled the condom off and I've blown you to completion and it tastes like baby powder and latex gloves? But do I do it? Yeah. So, like, take one for the team and lick my latex.
I mean, I can't attest to that in general, but I do feel, as a woman, I know what you're describing.
Yes. Will you, after having sex, if they ask you to blow you, will you?
I was like, me?
Sorry. You're like, what?
Like, did they finish?
No. Like, it's like they've been inside you and then they want you to finish them to completion. Does that gross you out or no?
No, I would do it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm game. I'm very game for like almost anything. Short of like, I shouldn't say that because I don't know what everything is, but
I draw the line at like peeing on me.
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
Then again, I'm such a people pleaser that if some guy was like, I have to pee on you to come, I'd be like, all right, well, let's go to the fucking shower, I guess, bro. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if if that's your kink, like, you but you gotta pee on me?
I don't think I would unless the guy has proven himself. Like, let's say I have asked this dude to do like 100 weird things and he's been game for all of them.
Yeah.
I will then throw him that bone.
Got it.
Because he's earned it. But if like we haven't gotten to that point and like we're still doing regular ass stuff and then you come right out of the gate with pee on me, I'd be like, no,
I'm not. Oh my god, I love it. I told myself that I was gonna tone it back some with the sex stuff, but this episode I just put it all out the window.
I'm a bad influence. I came prepared to play. Like I came ready to go.
I think it's I love talking about this type of stuff. It's just sometimes the responses that I get from it are like jaw dropping, like stuff that like guys will like request from me. So sometimes it makes me not want to be as open about it because guys can get gross, but it's like, fuck whatever. I don't talk about it I don't care. If you're gonna be gross, you're gonna be gross, and it is what it is. But but that's kind of why I was like, do I really need people to know like about me coming? But the reason that I do this is so that like other girls know that like if you have an orgasm the first time, like it's fine. Like all this shit is like, we all do this. Nobody just really talks about it. Like nobody sits around and talks about like not being able to have orgasms, weird color or smell and discharge. All of a sudden your vagina smells like fish. Oh my God. Like that shit happens and it's normal and there's nothing wrong with it. And like, that's just, I feel like why it should be talked about. So for the guys out there who think that I'm doing this for you, I'm not. I'm doing this for other girls.
This one's for the ladies.
Yes, this one's not for the guys. I'm so sorry about that, everybody. Sorry. But thank you so much for coming and being on my podcast.
Oh, yeah, no problem. This was
I feel
so
like
fun.
I should end it because I don't know how long we've been talking, but I feel like it's like a while now. So
it's no problem. Dude, I could keep going on. I love talking to you. So
we're going to have to do more episodes because you were a wonderful guest. It's so lovely.
Oh, thank you.
It was amazing. Where can everybody find you? Where can they listen to your podcast? Plug away.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Cuckoo for Clo Puffs. It's the most embarrassing Instagram handle. I've had it since I was 17.
So cute.
But I can never change it now because people make fun of me for it all the time. So Cuckoo, which is spelled Cuckoo for Clo Puffs. That's my Instagram. You can also find my podcast. The Instagram is at Unwatchable with Chloe Rodriguez. And you can find my podcast Unwatchable, where I talk about film and TV and entertainment industry stuff on Spotify and Apple and Buzzsprout.
Definitely
and hopefully
go,
Amazon.
Yeah, definitely go listen to her podcast. It's great. I listened to episodes before I was on it and I was on it, and it was a wonderful time. If you just can't get enough of my baloney, then come and join my Patreon, patreon.com/littlebabykates. I post my episodes early. I post videos early. We have fun conversations on there, so come on over and join. If you're not already following me, follow me everywhere at Little Baby Kates. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to see you again next Tuesday. Go out, be the best person you can be, and suck as much dick as you possibly can. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I'm like my mom. How do I turn this thing off?
You should definitely leave that as the last line.